You're picking up what I'm throwing down, buddy. Walking out.
Attention, please. Can everyone take this? Yeah, please. I got that. Can everyone take this? Let's move the expedition, please. I'm gonna get started. I did. That's it. You good? You good? Okay, everybody, hold on a second.
No louder.
Where's Dave? Can you put the mic up a little bit?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, distinguished guests. My name is Elena Williams. I am a friend of Marilyn Banks Winters. And this is a very honor and I guess precious moment in history and in time. And I'm so grateful that you thought of me to have me stand in this position for this momentous occasion. Thank you very much. So I would like to introduce the Riverhead Town Councilman, Frank Bayrott. He's the liaison to the Riverhead Town Preservation Committee. Frank Bayrott is here.
Good morning, Riverhead. What a beautiful day we have. I'm Frank Bayrott. I am the liaison to the Landmark Preservation Committee. This has been something that Marilyn, of course, has been working on single-handedly, and anybody that knows Marilyn knows that she is one that puts her head down and gets things done when she wants. Definitely needs to be the leader, because that's what she was born to be. Anyway, I want to just start by thanking all the departments in the town that took time to make sure that this event could happen. From highway coming and mowing road here to the police department, making sure we have safe entry and exit from this event, and to Ray Coyne and to the buildings and park and rec. I want to thank everybody for their part in making this a special day. I want to just remember one occasion that happened maybe about 3 months ago. I was walking through Town Hall, and unsuspecting Deputy Town Attorney Anne-Marie Prudenti summoned me and said, "Frank, you have to come in here. You have to come in here." I said, "What?" She goes, "We got the sign." I said, "Oh my gosh, I have to go in and see it. I have to." I knew it was in there, but Reverend Cooper, I believe it was her birthday, if I remember correctly, and Marilyn, and Anne-Marie, and myself, and Teresa from Berkeley. And there was so much joy in that little office just at the sight of this sign. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm not going to take up too much time. I just want to thank everybody for coming. Really a special day for the community and for all of Riverhead. Have a beautiful day. Let's enjoy this ceremony. Thank you very much.
I want to thank you, Town Councilman Frank Bayrott. And right now, I'd like to bring up Supervisor Aguirre to begin with the ceremony. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Morning. And thank you all for being here for this historic event and the official designation and unveiling of Riverhead's first ever historical heritage area for downtown. want to welcome the local county, state officials, their representatives, tribal and clergy members, Bell Matriarch, Reverend Mary Cooper, daughter, Marilyn Beck, and so many family members who were so instrumental. If we imagine for a moment going back in time, 100 years ago, right here at this very location, we'd be witnessing history related four brothers, Mansfield, Kanji, Ezekiel, and Malchiah Bell from Virginia arrived here in Riverhead with the determination to drive what would be the first beginning of a historical moment here in Riverhead. The brothers acquired various acres within a short time. They developed the land into a thriving community of houses and businesses designed to provide commodities and services to the community of Riverhead and surrounding areas. The Bell brothers likely did not envision their exit without their parents' spirit and unwavering passion. And we remember this great day, which is why it is so fitting and appropriate to gather after all these years to celebrate the rich heritage of Belltown and the historical significance of the Bell brothers, their profound and lasting impact in our community now and forever. I would like to thank Reverend Mary Cooper and Marilyn Banks for organizing and sharing this wonderful historical day here in Riverhead. I know Marilyn, I was with you last night at the choir installation, and you were so concerned. Be proud of yourself. I also want to thank our recreation department and building and grounds department for helping make today such a great success. And I look forward to hearing from you today for the next few hours about your heritage. And congratulations on having this foresight, for having this vision, and making it a reality here in Riverhead. Thank you, Supervisor Aguilar. Next, I would like to bring up Reverend Charles A. Coverdale from the First Baptist Church. Reverend Charles Coverdale. Okay, for our next year. Timing is impeccable. Wonderful.
Right on time. Right on time.
Let's welcome Reverend Charles A. Coverdale.
What a beautiful day. Yes, wonderful joy for this occasion that we come into fruition. What a wonderful opportunity. Let us go to the president of this opportunity. And I'll present in such a way that these people represent all no matter what our religious affiliation might be. Eternal everlasting God of our Father. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this day. We thank you that history now will be fulfilled. The memorial such as the unity that was given to the early days and really enter the lot of people in this area that knew it throughout and moved from here up beyond outreach. And so we thank for it. We thank for those who worked so hard to make this We know it was not an individual effort, though we know some individuals pushed hard. We thank you for all the clergy, any other clergy that might be. And we thank you for the people of God who have come out on this wonderful, bright light. Now bless us all. In the name of our Father. Amen.
And now we're going to have a music selection from Alcova Ted Turpin Jr. He will conduct a change on the come.
I was born by the river in a little town. Oh, like a fever. I've been running ever since. It's been a long time. And I know she's gonna come. Oh, I'm a believer. Oh, yes, it will. It's too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, and I know the change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movies and I go downtown, but somebody keeps telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. And I go to my brother, and I say, brother, help me, please. But he just winds up knocking me back down to my knees. Oh, at the time when I thought I couldn't last too long, but now I know I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change has come. Oh, yes, it has.
Thank you, Elder Ted Turpin, for that beautiful. Now we would like to welcome Riverhead Town Clerk Diane Wilhelm to read the resolution. Good morning.
Gotta go. Yeah.
Okay, Resolution 168, which was adopted unanimously by the Riverhead Town Board on March 2nd, 2021. Designation of area north of Hubbard Avenue between Bell Avenue and Zion Street as Belltown Heritage Area. Whereas the Landmarks Preservation Committee serves as an advisory body to the town board on matters including but not limited to identification of significant historic, architectural, and cultural landmarks, delineation of historic districts, and increase of public awareness and education of the value of historic, architectural, and cultural structures in areas. And whereas the Landmarks Preservation Committee researched and located an area in Akabor rich with history of its early settlement and representation of the area's early and present commerce of farming and fishing in the Great Peconic Bay. And the Landmarks Preservation Committee recommends that the town designate the area north of Hubbard Avenue between Bell Avenue and Zion Street as the Belltown Heritage Area. And whereas the Landmarks Preservation Committee detailed the history of the proposed Belltown Heritage Area, including settlement of the area by four brothers, Mansfield, Congreve, Ezekiel, and Melchiah Bell, sons of a self-taught free black farmer and grandsons of slaves, originally hailing from County, Virginia, who in the 1930s joined millions of African Americans migrating from the south to the north in search of better lives. The Great Migration, sometimes known as the Great Northward Migration or the Black Migration, was a movement of 6 million African Americans out of the rural southern United States to the Northeast, Midwest, and West that occurred between 1916 and 1970. And whereas the Bell brothers worked as farm laborers in Damon, and soon thereafter acquired approximately 16 acres on property near the southern end of a Downs family farm in Akabor, where they laid out Bell Avenue, Hobson Drive, and Zion Street, and created 32 residential lots that they sold to family and friends who had also moved north from Virginia. And whereas over the years, this community became known as Belltown. And whereas the Landmarks Preservation Committee recommends a heritage designation, a designation used by the state and neighboring towns as an honorary title bestowed in recognition of the special character and cherished historic heritage of this area in our community. I hear the train coming. Okay, I was promised that train wasn't coming for another 9 years. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby supports the recommendation of the Landmarks Preservation Committee, and in recognition of the Bell family's contribution to the history of our town, designates the properties north of Hubbard Avenue between Bell Avenue and Zion Street as the Belltown Heritage Area. Be it further resolved that the town board will commemorate the special character and historic heritage of the Belltown Heritage Area with a sign to be located along the highway right of way on the south side of Hubbard Avenue, just opposite Bell Avenue. Thank you. Thank you, Riverhead Town Clerk Diane Wooler. Next, we have for the reading of the town proclamation, Supervisor Aguirre. I'm sorry, Diane, that was scheduled to come 5 minutes later. Riverhead, we can get things like that done. We can work with the FTA. So I have a proclamation here designating Riverhead's first historical heritage area, Old Belltown. Whereas it is both fitting and proper, the supervisor of the town of Riverhead, together with the entire board, my colleagues who are all here, joined in designating and declaring the first ever historical heritage area of the township of Riverhead, Old Belltown Heritage Area, located in the hamlet of Aquabah. And whereas this day will mark and be remembered uh, nearly 100 years ago when forefathers migrated from Pocahontas, Virginia to Aquabah, Long Island, New York. And whereas during the Great Migration, the brothers purchased 16 acres of the north side of Hubbard Avenue and created 32 residential lots, which they sold to their families and their friends, who also moved north from Virginia, creating an African American, Native American area again called Belltown. The lots included what is now Bell Avenue, Hobson Drive, and Zion Street. The Bell brothers soon developed Belltown into a self-contained, predominantly African American and Native American area with businesses that provided commodities and services to their communities Riverhead and the surrounding areas. And furthermore, the designation of Belltown is intended to encourage an appreciation of the historical heritage of the area and the entire community. And therefore, be it proclaimed, I, Yvette M. Agnew, by virtue of the authority vested in me as supervisor of the town of Riverhead and the entire town board, do hereby proclaim this day as Belltown. And urge all citizens of this great town to join in sustaining awareness of Belltown, of its rich historical significance, and of the Bell brothers, whose determination to improve their community and enhance their lives of those around them has made our town a better place to live.
Yep.
Who wants to receive it? Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, now I would like to introduce our very own Suffolk County Executive, Steve Malone.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to be here. Diane, where is Diane? It's pretty amazing. The tree was early.
Right here, down here.
It is good to be here. Suffolk County Legislator Al Krupke, Legislator Bridget Fleming, our District Attorney Ray Tierney. I'll be saying a few words this moment as well. I want to thank all of my colleagues who are here. Importantly, I want to acknowledge and thank the town of Riverhead for making this possible today. Supervisor Aguiar and the members of the town board, let's give them a round of applause. I'm going to try. Can you hear me? Okay. That I particularly. No, you can't hear me. I guess I was facing that way.
You should turn that speaker out so
So it is really a pleasure here, and I want to thank Maryland Bank Winter for really bringing us here today, and those who supported this tremendous effort to recognize this incredible heritage. Reverend Coverdale, thank you. It takes a special skill, and talent, and maybe a little help from God to be able to walk right off. Perfect. But it is such an honor to be here as Suffolk County Executive, because this is, as I mentioned, the first education. It's really significant. Before we go any further, I want to acknowledge the pain and the sorrow and the hurt that is still being felt in Buffalo and all across our community and the country. He took a lot and missing soul in Buffalo. So that act and the ideology under hatred and racism is something we must all stand up against and speak out at every opportunity. I spoke the other night at the state of the county about in Suffolk County. I'm very proud of this fact. There is a bipartisan consensus to stand up against discrimination and racism. There is a bipartisan consensus about the importance of inclusivity. And we must take every opportunity to stand up. And in some ways, we are here today to celebrate this victory. But this act of designating this area as the first heritage area in the Universal is an act of standing and declaring what we do believe in here. In this despite all the odds they are made their way to their position at the time of their American to live their best life. And they created something extraordinary. And in doing so, and in overcoming the odds and the obstacles, the extraordinary obstacles that were in their way, they built something incredible that gave a better life for so many others as well. And that legacy of what started is alive today, and it's still doing something. It is an extraordinary thing. A little bit more now, since a lot of people moved out. We have more than 1.5 million. On behalf of all of those citizens of our county, I can say I'm very proud to be here today and to designate today, May 21st, 2022, as Belltown Heritage Day forevermore in Suffolk County. Congratulations.
Thank you, Suffolk County Executive Steve Malone. Next, I would like to introduce Mark Woolley, District Director for Congressman Lee Zeldin's office.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? Proud to be here today on behalf of Congressman. It's always challenge to follow people in that Senator Jeffrey is right. There couldn't be a better time to do what we do here today with this designation of all that's going on across our land. This time to show that we were heads not about tearing apart, but it's about bringing it together. So that's what we do here today. We bring the community together. I find today to be especially significant. On a personal note, we say this to the councilwoman here, so having grown up in this area, we went to Riverhead High School, and yeah, I'm from Riverhead. Anybody else in here? No way of putting it. I grew up in that road, from the main road, and my best friend from third grade all the way through high school was Kenny Bell. Kenny Bell and I played drums together all the way through, and there's never been a finer drummer that I've ever seen. I can say that. Yeah, I know he's listening, and he kind of nudged me to say that. But what he never said was about Belton. Even though we were running around here getting in trouble, we did. Got into that. It was very plain. And to this day, he's still surprised. So I was surprised reading about on that concept. The person that's back here in Belltown, I got to do it daily, and know it's significantly more. So, on behalf of the council and constituents, that I would like to invest one. Acknowledging the Belltown Historic Heritage Area. But we decided we could take a step further. We had a short amount of time to get it done. We got it done. And we had a flag flown over the United States Capitol, American flag. That's just family, no family. Thank you. We're honored to be here. And
Oh, I just did everyone take the photo? Next, we have on the lineup Richard Wine from the Riverhead Landmark Preservation Committee.
Thank you. Great to be here today, and especially to be here with Mary and Marilyn, and this day that you ordered. Celebrate this special occasion. I do want to say that Riverhead has not been very good about celebrating its people of color, their history, and the role they always played. We ignored basically the more than 500 slaves who lived here on the North Fork at the very beginning of English settlement up until the end of slavery in New York in 1828. Similarly, we just pretty much ignored what happened to the indigenous peoples that were here before the English settlement. And we also have ignored the wave of African American migration that came to the North Fork in the 1920s and 30s. That's why the Landmark Preservation Commission was so delighted a couple of years ago when Maryland came into the commission and asked what we could do to celebrate this heritage. We thought about it for quite a long time and ultimately created this town's very first heritage district. The four brothers, Mansfield, Andre, Ezekiel, Malachi, they were part of what historians call the Great Migration. So something like 6 million blacks to the north to escape racial violence in the south for economic opportunity here. This is really a minor tributary of that great river, but it brought well over 1,000 to Riverhead, mostly from that same little corner of Virginia, Bossier County, and a couple of counties right around here. Mansfield and others went back to both people. A nice Riverhead once, they all came here. And we're enriched as a result of that. I look at the statistics. In 1920, less than 1% of the town's population was black. By 1940, it was over 13%. And yet, this is only the second formal acknowledgement we've done of that contribution to the town. The first one was about 15 years ago. We designated the Fletcher Booker up on Yorkville Turnpike as a official town landmark. Fletcher Booker, along with the Bell brothers, was part of that movement. They were founders of the First Baptist Church, and together they've done a lot to make Riverhead what it is. Those four brothers, if you think about it, they were grandchildren of slaves. Growing up, they would have had a lot of relatives and neighbors and so forth who were born into slavery, who had suffered the bonds of slavery. They came from the South racked by lynching and other racial violence. They came to Riverhead to start new lives, find opportunity. What the Bell brothers here is important. Building life for themselves, building a community they can share with us, enriching our town. I wish we were actually sitting just a little bit further down the street here, where you could see Mansfield's house and the house of others that Mary didn't want that. Anyway, we are a town that has been continuously enriched by new arrivals. In the middle of the 19th century, they were Irish. Toward the end of that century, they were Polish and Ukrainian. Then the African Americans in the South. Now it's Hispanic in the turn of the last century, and many more in between them. So I want to thank the town board for their enthusiastic support for this project. I want to thank all of you for coming here to celebrate Riverhead's first Heritage District, to celebrate what the Bell brothers did here and the community they created, and to celebrate the beautiful mosaic that is Riverhead.
I would like to welcome up again the Riverhead Supervisor Aguirre, who will present to Reverend Mary Cooper, which is a great honor, the Riverhead Township pin. Very beautiful. What an honor. Next, after Marilyn finished her photo, I would like to bring up Marilyn Banks Winter, daughter of TSC T. Martin and Reverend Mary Bell Cooper, and granddaughter of Deacon Mansfield and Patty Bell, to discuss the Bell family story with you all. Thank you, Cousin Elena. Are we in morning or afternoon? Good morning. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be exceedingly glad. This day has been ordained by the Lord. My research started 7 years ago to the date of this historical heritage unveiling ceremony. On May 21st, 2015, to the day, is when research began. 100 years of an area known to the townfolk of Riverhead and surrounding towns, of its pioneers who migrated from the South and built a thriving community called Belltown. This area was passed over by development, and I am here to give you a glimpse of who moved here, why they moved to this area, and when Belltown was established by documentation from some U.S. census gathered by Riverhead Preservation Chair Richard Wine, and genealogical tracing done by historian James Preventer, documents and writings gathered by Patty Bell, Mary Bell Cooper, and cousin Carol Bell Johnson, and the perspective of Sarah Aunt Bunny Bell Beasley, Norman Nash, Theodore Teddy Perkins, Annie Hobson Jackson, and many extended family members and friends who remember the Bell brothers and their families. This is a rich and deep history of migration, of paving the way, of love and building a legacy, the legacy of the Bells in Belltown. This is a historical landmark area we are right now in, where families lived in Jamesport and Accaboon before the 1660s. These people are members of the Kershaw tribe, also known as the Narragansett, Algonquin, Anishinaabe people, meaning original person family, who lived in Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. Before the time of colonization and the separation of Southport in what was known as the lower of Old Accaboon, known today as Jamesport. The natives of Jamesport and Accaboon area were not considered historical at that time. Through them, respectfully, we have the blood right lineage claim to the Narragansett Kershaw Indians, which consists of Pushmatuck, Powhatan, Shinnecock, Montauk. We are also descendants of the Fula people of Guinea-Bissau, Mindi, Timni. People living in Sierra Leone and Peru. People living in Liberia, all in West Africa. My father, who lived in Belltown until his passing, was a Cherokee Indian, and his mother, Annette, was full-blooded Cherokee. Try to picture an era when these brothers traveled that was defined by a global economic and political crisis that culminated in the World War. It saw the collapse of the international financial system, beginning with the Wall Street crash of 1929, which caused the Great Depression. That lasted for 10 years. Herbert Hoover was president, and then Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected as president in 1932, and faced World War II that lasted from September 1st, 1939 to September 2nd, 1945. That included all major powers such as Germany, Russia, America, Italy, Japan, Europe, and Canada. There were major hurricanes and dust bowls of dirty 30s. A period of severe dust storms caused major ecological and agricultural damage to American soil. Droughts developed in the Great Plains areas between 1930 and 1940. President Roosevelt created the Federal Surplus Commodities Corporation that was alphabet agency to divert agricultural commodities from open market to destitute families. The abandonment of homesteads, financial ruins, and discrimination resulted in widespread hunger and poverty, which brings me to the historical facts of the Bell brothers' journey. Told in part by Patty Bell, passed down and researched by her daughter Mary Bell Cooper, passed down and researched by Mary's daughters Carolyn Cooper Banks Winter and Honorable Marietta Cooper Booker and cousin Carol Bell Dumpster, of how these Bell men preserved against all odds and settled in a safe haven for themselves, their family, and their friends. We are here to share our history with you. Four brothers, Mansfield, Condrey, Ezekiel, Malachi Bell, inherited James Henry Bell's farm. Their father, as it passed down to them by their mother, Alice Braxton Bell. These are grandsons of indentured Native and Black servants of the fall in a time of war. Members who were part of the Great Migration brought 6 million families out of the South in search of better lives in the North. This move was to escape racial violence, pursue economic and educational opportunities, and obtain freedom from the oppressed of Jim Crow. Fortunately, these brothers, these bellmen, were coming to unknown territory as they were not coming to unknown territory as they mapped out a plan with other family migrating relatives in the areas of Jamesport and where the waters meet, which is Pushpatuck, Uncachog, Member. The Bellmen sold their family land and migrated north, bringing their farming, fishing skills, traditions, and their entrepreneurial spirit with them, and moved from Powhatan, Virginia to Jamesport. They first bought cottages known as being the southeast corner of Hubbard Avenue and Meeting House Creek Road between Overlook Drive and Fields Lane. They were considered seasonal migrant workers with farming and fishing in their blood as they worked on area duck plant as Broad Cove that was once owned by the Seelig family and Crescent Duck Farm owned by Henry Corwin. They also worked at Potato Farm as Brightenback owned by Emil Brightenback, and they were baymen, familiar with the indigenous people as in Jamesport, Riverhead, Mattatuck, Cutchogue, New Suffolk, and Greenport, where many Bells live today. All Indian land and waterways. The Bell brothers continued to work for these companies and were told by local natives from Patty and Sarah's family of available rural wooded area, formerly Indian land, similar to the homeland in which they left in Powhatan. This property located on Hubbard Avenue, which you're in right now, was once called the Boulevard, owned by Walter S. Downs. It was ideal land adjacent to Indian Island, which is behind me, was my playground as a child and teenager. A site of spiritual significance where thankfully our brothers of the Shinnecock and Uncachunk Nation repatriated remains that were uncovered during a 2005 storm, as well as this area is surrounded by waterways, fertile ground to grow crops and animals as raccoons, deer, possum, turkey, squirrel, turtle, and rabbit to hunt. The plots first purchased and settled were called Bell Avenue. They cleared this land to make a natural easement and build houses for themselves and their new wives, as Ezekiel was already married to Mabel Hicks. Malachi was married to Sarah Jane Bell. Mansfield married Patty Martha Bell, Sarah's sister. Both sisters' lineage to the Narragansett Kerchog Indian tribe, and along with Mabel were also Powhatan Indians. Condre never married. The Bell brothers started purchasing more parcels in the vicinity of Hubbard Avenue, making payments again to Walter S. Downs and others. Condre and Malachi stayed on Bell, and Malachi, Mansfield, and Ezekiel purchased other properties from Bell to Zion. The brothers coined the name Belltown, as several other family members bought land from the Bell brothers to live on the homestead and brought their families out from the South. Altogether, they purchased 32 residential lots, 16 acres, to buy back land that was once taken from them from Patty and Sarah's indigenous ancestors. Archaeologists have found bones of two natives right in Indian Island, dating back during the Woodland period from 800 BC AD to 800 through AD 800. More Black Native Americans from Powhatan and those linked to the Uncle, which is where the Waters meet, tribal family, were able to settle in this area called Belltown, a new frontier because of the bells. This self-sufficient, self-contained, prosperous, and sustainable area that many skilled workers and entrepreneurs as Condrey owned the Bell Dump Company, and all the brothers started a farm near Condrey's Lawn. Malchiah owned Bell Cesspool, and he was a bayman. Ezekiel continued to work on the family home farm, and he also was a bayman. And Mansfield ended up working as a salary accountant for Long Island Produce. As he learned mathematics and was the community barber. The initial residents who settled in the Bell Town were the Bells, Armstead, Peak, White, Nash, Hobson, Perkins, Branch, Jackson, Millers, James, Booker, and Giles. Later came the Childress, Bland, Henderson, Cooper, Jones, Bartlett, Martin, Mack, Tripp, Cox, Hicks, Blaine, and Johnson. Rosanna Garvey and Fabio bought land but never stayed in Belltown with their families. Those who lived there contributed to the well-being of the community by growing their own crops and either trading with their neighbors for other commodities, and the land was fertile there, and sold their crops to neighbors outside of Belltown. They brought in and raised pigs, cows, and chickens. Milk, eggs, and meat were plentiful. The land gave them seeds, berries, and wild plants. The women did all the cooking. They had a bakehouse, dairy farm, smokehouse, poultry, and pig house, and a steel mill, as one of my uncles made moonshine. The community winning with making clean clothes and chipping to help nurture and teach the children until they were of full age to attend Applebaum Elementary School, built in 1929. The men of the community, Applebaum. The men of the community formed a men's group of masonry workers where they helped build each other's houses and built a community center at the end of Zion Street, where they hosted many events for their community. They all brought Cadillacs and Buicks and drove down to attend church services together as they helped finance the building of the second First Baptist Church on Rainer Avenue and the third church built on Northfield Turnpike. The Bell family window is located at the back balcony within the main sanctuary of the church. Similar contributions from the Bell brothers was the building finance of Friendship Baptist Church in Flanders, which pays homage to the Bells, as Bell Avenue is the street that leads to the church on Anchor Street. The Bell men were active in church as deacons, and their wives were deaconess and missionaries. Mansfield was the first superintendent of Sunday school at First Baptist and the youngest superintendent of Sunday school on Long Island. They and their wives were avid readers who read the Bible and taught their children how to read and write. That's why it's important to keep your family history, because the census has them as illiterate. They were not illiterate people. They were proud and they were educated. They educated themselves and their children. Now, the Bell men, I lost my place. Well, as their wives were avid readers, there are newspaper clippings honoring Mansfield at his 22nd superintendent anniversary and noted that in 22 years of his service at that time, he only missed 4 Sundays. Pastor Coverdale. He only missed 4 Sundays. He and his brothers He and his brothers formed a men's gospel church choir with other men within the congregation and prayer group. According to Miss Mary Hall, a former resident of Riverhead, she remembers Mansfield Bell was a great part of all church services, especially the Sunday school and youth groups that met at 6 p.m. before evening service. At that church service, was a young Deacon Malachi, Deacon John Harris, Deacon Arthur Brown, Mary Harris, and Mary Brown was on piano, and called themselves the Heavenly Father. Devotional blessings and foot stomping was with singing until the Spirit came in was her account as a witness. The bellmen were always willing to start the service off with a hymn of praise and prayer. Preserving and documenting Belltown history is vital to the complete history of Riverhead. It is the untold story of ancestors, trailblazers, unsung heroes who shaped the struggle of freedom. The importance of this site and stories of these settlers have not received equal attention and need to be elevated and remembered. To document African American sites and landscapes is crucial to ensuring these places are honored and reflected in Riverhead and American stories. African American, Native American history, historic places as Belltown in Riverhead is a critical first step in making sure that this history is protected by preserving the Belltown name, and it is identified as a place that is deeply meaningful to both the community and our heritage. We cannot let our own voice of history be lost or only told by reading the writings of our ancestors in slavery. We wanted to give you a snapshot of where we would like to go from here. With the knowledge and documents of Belltown and its citizens we have gathered, we would like to make the appeal for funding for a building donated for the creation of an African American, Black Native American Cultural Center and Museum in the township of Riverhead. We also are collecting monetary donations in regards on the AAECF.org website. We will highlight the rich history and cultures of African Native American communities and citizens as Belltown in the town of Riverhead and abroad through the auspices of the AAECF, which is the African American Educational and Cultural Festival Organization, which is a nonprofit 501c3 located here in Riverhead that has been telling our story and curating for 21 years, with displays and exhibits at the Riverhead Library, local schools, colleges, and cultural functions. Having a building to house the growing collection donated and entrusted to us by the community to preserve and share will be displayed so it can be displayed year round. This will enrich our community, especially the youth, in understanding the experiences and culture of people who made major contributions to American history. In addition to exhibits, we will need enough space for educational and cultural events and workshops surrounding our culture, adding to the tourism experience of Riverhead, as we have years of experience collectively collectively to produce. Arts and culture are the heart of this community. And this cultural center and museum will be a major economic driver as African American and Native American history is absent from Riverhead cultural economic growth. Tourism brings together people from different backgrounds, as we see here. The African diaspora and Black Native American experience is a good fit as it will play a crucial role in preserving local culture. With careful documentation and artifact preservation, our culture can be recorded and remembered regardless of its future. It can also be shared and understood by those from different cultural backgrounds. This is the first step in inclusion and rectifying the incomplete history of the township of Riverhead and its people that have been overlooked and passed by without enough being represented and documented. Local history is not merely national history writ small, but a study of past events in a given geographical area, which is based on a wide variety of documentary evidence and placed in a comparative context that is both regional and national. Thank you to the Landmark Preservation Commission, the Riverhead Town Board, my family, and my community for remembering, accepting, and recording Belltown as a heritage area. Thank you. I want to thank Marilyn, thanks Winters for the time and the dedication and much research that went into all the history that she presented here today. And this is, we'll be able to share this and add to the richness that Riverhead already has. Next, we have Lillian Crowder, poet, classical pianist, AAECF Inc. board member, and TEDx lecturer to read the poem. Really proud of it. I met Marilyn about a few moments ago, and she has the grace and invited me here today. And am I happy with that new position? I thank you and the Bell family for allowing me to stand on sacred ground. With that in mind, I have prepared a poem titled Our Ancestors. We know earth soil where we were ancestors once dwelled. They relic and remnants of our existence and our past. Today, we remind you that there is still much work to be done as we too await the return of our wares from the victors who took our spoil. We come from sacred spaces and hallowed places, both far and near. We rattle our dried up bones to the drumbeat so that you will know that we are here. We are sounding the alarm for the return to ownership of lands and our artifacts. We expect that one day laws will be enacted, demanding our treasures be given back. Today, we in spirit
are with you here today with deep pride, and we hope you feel it. Looking around, there is much more we see on planet Earth than used to be. We hear our yesterdays in songs, dance, and in the beat of drum. Our essence is in sync with you, our descendants, and what you have done. We of long ago, yesterday, we, your ancestors, have not lain silent and still. We've monitored our charge to you, our descendants, as was stated in our will. Although progress has been made, there are promises yet to be kept. And when you're at my age, you have to keep your eyes on it. Today's event is of historical significance, and it is an important first step. We are ancestors and descendants of people of the African diaspora. We are the descendants of Native Americans, first inhabitants in the Americas. Our fighting bones lay in raised mounds and scattered surroundings and buried deep. Prevailing winds howl over barren lands, destroyed grasslands, and we see as we weep. We amplify our expressions about past transgression, so you will be reminded that ventures in unity must continue to ensure a more democratic institution is attained. Ventures in unity must continue to ensure civil and human and voting rights laws are gained. Ventures must continue to correct the ongoing challenges occurring each day and night. Ventures must continue to ensure repercussions on those who continue to infringe on others' rights. We have gone a long time, but these are but a few infractions that must be righted. Today's cultural celebration is one of historical significance as it brings attention to and documents a most important event. The story of four pioneering young African American men with a plan who came north from south with a blueprint in mind and drawing in their hands. And so it is to them I offer a salute. Kudos to you, Mansfield and Malachi, Andre and Ezekiel, descendants of Patty Mansfield Bell, ancestors of the Reverend Mary A. Bell Hoover, granddaughter Marilyn Banks Winter, and current members of the Bell family of Applebaum, Riverhead, New York. We are thankful because of you and your family, your ancestors, descendants, and current family, that this event has occurred and this opportunity is here to be a site for many to come visit and be a monument for our young people to be inspired to do research and continue to dig deep and research for their history. Thank you.
Thank you very much, poet Lily Crowder. Now, I would like to welcome up the matriarch, Mary A. Bell Cooper. And also, I would like to welcome up Marilyn Banks Winters and the Riverhead Town Supervisor Aguirre, members of the Riverhead Town Board, all state and county officials up for the unveiling of the sign.
We're in Grand County. Let's go.
Thank you.
That I probably am.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I'm here all day. I'm good. Did you get in? Okay, don't trip, don't trip.
Okay, next I would like to introduce Johnny Smith. Foundation Population is the one for himself.
There's Bell Avenue, and just beyond it, Zion.
are coming together and sharing in this wonderful experience and history. Johnny Smith is going to offer a blessing of the land and honoring Umpqua, Kuskokwim, and Shinnecock Nation representation here today. Thank you.
Boy, estudiant a la matissa, buonissimo. I'm honored and I'm glad to be asked to be here today. That the speakers have come together to recognize and give honor to four brothers that they had accomplished. Oftentimes we, as people, forget that the Creator looks at us as leaves from the same tree, made from the same thing. And our ancestors long ago, the African American and the indigenous people, American Indians, we suffered through some oppression. So those difficulties that we suffered, we had a bond that joined us. And part of that bond is that we recognize the Creator, that oneness, and realizing, and today often we forget as people that sometimes suffering and difficulties that become hard for us in our lives, in our personal life, we forget about the Creator. And that those difficulties and those sorrows are actually blessings in disguise. There's a prayer that the Spirit gave us. And I want to share that prayer with you that will explain the depth of the understanding of the difficulty and sorrow, how the Spirit, the Creator, sees it. And the Spirit tells us that what is more than knowledge and what is more than wisdom is understanding. Suffering and difficulty are like the morning dew on God's green path. Suffering and difficulty are like the wick of God's lamp that lights earth and heaven. All the prophets and holy people of the Creator have had their difficulty and their sorrow. As strange as it sounds, I still love you, and I am happy that you've had your difficulty and sorrow. Amen. So this song that I'm going to sing is in honor of that and the brothers' those difficulties. And what this song is saying is, look at me. This is me. This way that I have chosen, this road that I have chosen, this path that I have chosen is hard and difficult. But I love this way. You are Yahweh. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny Smith, fellow Shinnecock member.
Look at it.
Okay, next we have New York Assemblywoman Jody Giglio.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. So, yes, we are here today in Belltown Heritage Area. And who knew the rich history of this area? I don't think any of us did when we drove by here every day. And we have to credit Marilyn and Reverend Cooper for bringing it to our attention, because this is really a special place. It really is. And, you know, I had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Bell at her 100th birthday party down the street here at Living Water Church. And, you know, she lived to be 103, and she lived over here. And Reverend's here. He was loved by all. But who knew about this area? And Marilyn, you're a driving force. So you bringing this to our attention, I was on the Landmarks Preservation Commission with Richard as liaison for 10 years, and we knew Riverhead had rich culture, but we didn't know anything about Belltown. And now we do, and it is in the history books. And I want to introduce my colleague in the Assembly, Elisa Heineman. She is from the Queens area, but we are doing great things to make sure that there is equal justice for all in the state of New York. So if you don't mind, I'm going to let Lisa say a few words, and then we will present you and Reverend with this proclamation citation.
I want to thank my colleague for inviting me, because I think that we sometimes feel like we operate in silos throughout the state of New York. And I just want to tell you that our history is vast. Our history is important, our American history. And I'm a lover of American history. And thank you, Marilyn, for doing the diligence to trace your legacy, because that is exactly what this is, legacy. And I encourage more families, because we know somehow we may all be related, like the previous speaker said, we're all leaves of a tree. And I think in times, especially what happened last week in Buffalo, the unity and the culture of Riverhead tells me we have a lot more work to do. So I thank you for inviting me and allowing me to share these few words about this rich culture in Belltown. Thank you.
And this is only the beginning because you got to hear about this festival that Maryland has planned. We'll have you back for that.
Okay, next we have Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Marilyn, I just want you to know that as your district attorney, I can tell you that the statute of limitations has run on the moonshine operation. You're in the clear. As the district attorney of Suffolk County, I feel honored and privileged to be here. But more than that, as a fan of history, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Because, you read about the Great Migration, you read about Belltown. That's what I've done. But a lot of the people in these tents, they've lived that. And I just think that's awesome. And you are, not only do you live it, but you're the embodiment of all of that, all the struggles and sacrifices. You're the embodiment and the legacy of that. And that's awesome. So congratulations to you. And I'm just so happy to be here on this long overdue day. Speaking of history, I majored in history in college because I just think our shared American history is so rich and so vibrant, but it's also complicated. And there's some ugliness in it. And we have to embrace it all, and we have to come to terms with all of it, and we have to learn from it. For instance, I think it's ironic that the four Bell brothers, they came from Powhatan County, Virginia. And 330 years or so before that, the first European settlement was established in Virginia, and they displaced, that set in motion the forces that displaced those Native Americans, and caused the four Bell brothers to come on their journey to Riverhead and Aquabog. Of course, in 1930, it's not as easy to make that trip as it is now. So you can only imagine the struggles, the trials, and the tribulation. So we have to learn from our history, but we also have to take time to celebrate it and celebrate our heroes. And the four Bell brothers are certainly heroes. And again to Mary, Marilyn, Yvette, and the town board, anyone who had a part in this day, thank you very much for making this possible, because it is important. And to Mary and Marilyn, I say that spirit of the Bell brothers, the fearlessness, the intrepidness, the willingness to live their own life and have self-determination, it lives in all of you. And not only does it live in the people in these tents, but it's spread from there, and it's been, it's spread to this community, Belltown, and beyond. And now it's become part of our collective Suffolk County heritage. And I think that's so awesome and so wonderful. And I'm just proud and happy to be here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney. I'd like to welcome up Deputy County District Attorney and AAECF Inc. Advisor, Leslie Anderson. Okay. All right, we will skip over. I'm sorry. She was unable to attend at the moment. So now I would like to welcome Suffolk County Legislator Al Krumsky, along with Suffolk County Legislator Bridget Fleming.
Thank you, Elena. How great is Elena Rivera Williams?
Thank you. Thank you for Riverhead Town, first of all, for organizing this and being such a big part of this. And I'm a big fan of history also. I think everyone here is. That's why we're all here. And I'm one of those people, when they see these signs when they're traveling somewhere, I'm the one who pulls off alongside the road and aggravates everyone. So I want to read it because these are important, and these are important cultural markers for the community too, not just for tourists. So this is, I think this is really important. So I think today it's all about really family and community. And you think about all the people who came here, in this case, Akabong. You think about all the people, and my family came here just before this great migration, and it was the same sort of displacement of people from other parts of the world. They came for something better. And so I think that, and for more opportunity, think about the people who came here 10,000 years ago. People came here 400 years ago. You think about the people who came here 100 years ago, and they all became such an important part of our community. Definitely, they changed it. The people who are coming today, it's definitely changes to our community again. But the point is, to recognize our heritage, to know how important this was. This is really a great moment here. It's something that we all have to remember going forward. So thank you for today. Thank you to the town for for memorializing this, and thank you certainly for the history lesson.
Thank you. And I too want to thank Marilyn Winter and the members of the Riverhead Town and Richard Wines who worked so hard to get this done, because it is, as Al said, very important. And why is it important to honor and with such deep respect 4 Black men who escaped racial violence and Jim Crow to come to this town and create a vibrant cultural, economic, spiritual community that continues to enrich the town of Riverhead to this day. It is so critically important at this moment in our history because there's still so much work to be done. So thank you for, shining a light on success and prosperity and enrichment that came from these 4 Black men who got out of a place where their lives were threatened by racial violence and Jim Crow. So the struggle continues, and we need to keep shining a light on things like this. So thank you so much for that work. And we have a proclamation. So yeah, I don't know who wants to join us for the proc. Yes, please. And was the baby a member of the Bell family? How wonderful to see the baby. It's hot out here, though, for her.
This is my baby.
Well, because it's just so nice to know that as we watch the struggle continue, particularly with recent events, the struggle continues, but so does the enrichment, so does the effort to find a way through the darkness. And there she is. So this is a proclamation from the county legislature, Legislator Krupski and myself. I just want to note how the Hamlet of Belltown brought out local poets, musicians, clergy, and so many other talented individuals, not to mention economic prosperity, farming and fishing, and played a positive, and that the Bell family continues to play such a positive and vital role in the community's life. So we want to honor you and thank you for the work that you've done. You are truly worthy of today's honor. Thank you so much.
Will Reverend Mary A. Bell Cooper, the matriarch of the Bell family, please come up. If you want to say a few words. A few words. I am an Akaborgian. I've been here all my life, but on the event of my birth, we had the worst hurricane that we ever had in Riverhead, because it signaled the world would let them know that somebody important was coming. I'm so glad that all of you came, and also my relationship with the Lord began at the age of 2. I sang the song at First Baptist Church, and I was on the stage. I could see my family, and some lady came and put me in a chair, made me mad. But at 2, you can't say anything. You have to sing. And I said, I will tell the world about this, not knowing that I would marry a young man that would take me all over the world, even to Israel, and also Las Vegas and Sweden and England. And each place we were able to have church services, and I was able to minister to different people. So it's been a blessing. But I just want to say thank you to all of you, and God bless all of you. Amen. Thank you very much. From the matriarch, Mr. John V.H. Halsey, President of Peconic Land Trust.
Well, what a day. What a day. And what a lot of people to come after. But as I was listening to all that was being said, I had to write down a few notes. I promise this will be short. First of all, I think it's incumbent upon me and all of us to recognize that we are on the ancestral land of a lot of Long Island's indigenous people. So I understand that, and I appreciate that, and we all should embrace it. That history needs to be spoken, as also the history of Belltown. So I am honored and humbled to be here. My father was a doctor, and I learned a lot from him about serving community and serving everyone in our community. And the Peconic Land Trust, which I founded in 1983 with other local people, it's really about preserving our heritage, our working farms, our natural lands. And we do this for everyone in the community. Behind us is Broad Cove, and the trust is now the temporary steward of that property, protected from development. And we look forward to working with the Belltown community
as we envision the future of that land and its history, and tell the story of that place. The other thing that I saw today, it's really the public-private partnership that is so important to us succeeding in our mutual quests to ensure that hope wins over adversity, equality and justice over bigotry, and love over hate. The struggles that the Bell family encountered, I'm sure, when they arrived here, were born by love and belief. And I think that's a huge inspiration for all of us. So understanding and acknowledging our history is critical. The Peconic Land Trust is about heritage. And I'm so happy to have been here today, and I'm so proud of what you have accomplished. And we look forward to partnering with you and other communities to tell the story. Thank you very much. Here's the short.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. John Halsey. At this moment, I would like to read some letters of acknowledgement and appreciation. They could not make it here today, but they wanted to extend their appreciation and love for the people. This is from Michael P. Shred. Forgive me if I pronounce it incorrectly. The Long Island Regional Director of U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's office. Hi, Marilyn. I just wanted to reach out to let you know that unfortunately I will not be able to make the ceremony in Riverhead. I will not be on the island this weekend. However, I would like to send your eldest living matriarch a letter from the senator. If you can follow up this email with her name, address, and details, I'll be happy to start the process. And Jacqueline Roth from the office of Governor Kathy Hochul. Good afternoon. I hope this email finds you well. I just wanted to connect on the below and make sure your team knew that the governor regrettably cannot attend this weekend event. I had planned to attend in her place, but am also not able due to unforeseen health issues. I sincerely apologize and hope you will continue to invite us to events going forward. Blessings and wishes for a successful day. Betty Selick Holden, Fort Myers Beach, Florida. Hi, Mary Bell. I so enjoyed our phone conversation the other day. I am pleased to hear that you will be celebrating the history of Belltown. I grew up on Herbert Avenue and was surrounded by Herbert while you grew up in Belltown, surrounded by bells. I like the sound of that. I enjoy my friendship with Mary Bell all through our first 8 years of schooling. And after high school, I was so pleased to hear that she then became a minister and is still serving as such. Belltown was a great source of helpers for my pop Selick, who owns Broad Cove Duck Farm. He could always know that he had good workers there. May you all have many blessings at your event and in the future. Best regards. At this moment, we'd like to have a moment of silence. If we could just stand for a moment of this moment of silence for the recent passing of Dorsey Bell Jackson Miller, a Tuskegee Airman nurse, and all those Belltown family members and neighbors who passed away. Thank you. And now we're going to have closing prayer from the matriarch, Mary A. Bell Cooper. Just a moment, before the closing prayer, Marilyn Banks Winter would like to offer thank yous and appreciation and then closing prayer. I would be remiss if I didn't thank everyone who played a part in this historical heritage event, as well as prayed for us, prayed for me, gave me good wishes. And so I'm going to start my list. The Reverend Mary A. Bell Cooper, Patty Bell, Martin Cooper, and Annie Jackson, Carol Bell Dumpson, the Riverhead Town Supervisor Yvette Aguiar, and staff, Town Council members, Frank Bayrock, who is the Landmark Preservation Liaison, Kenneth Rothwell, Bob Kern, Tim Hubbard, former Councilwoman Catherine Kent, Richard Wines and the Riverhead Town Preservation Committee, James Preventure, who is the historian and genealogist at the Riverhead Library, Ray Coyne. Ray, you've done a fabulous, fabulous job. Thank you, Ray. From the Riverhead Parks and Recreation, he's a Riverhead Park Recreation Superintendent and his staff. Jordan Harden, Recreation Leader. Diane Willem, Riverhead Town Clerk. Eric C. Howard, Riverhead Town Attorney and staff. Anne Marie Prudente. Where's Anne Marie? Anne Marie is awesome. She's the Deputy Town Attorney. Bob Kozakevich, he's the former Riverhead Town Attorney. Dave Zabrowski, Building and Grounds Supervisor and staff. PSCG and Verizon for fixing the poles in Belltown at my request. David Hegemiller, who is our chief of the Riverhead Police Department. Lieutenant Ed Frost, from the Riverhead Police Department. Tammy Moore, who's the principal clerk of the Office of Chief of Police and her staff. Mike Zaleski, Riverhead Highway Superintendent and staff. Georgette L. Case, she's our Riverhead Town historian and my mentor as far as historical events and happenings within the township of Riverhead. Thank you for teaching me, Georgette. Reverend Charles Coverdale, pastor of the First Baptist Church of Riverhead. Reverend Marianne McElroy, pastor of the Friendship Baptist Church. She had a funeral to attend today, or oversee today, so she was unable to make it. Elder Teddy Turpin Jr. Thank you, sir. Our Minister of Music.
Mrs. Lily Crowder, our poet. Thank you, my dear. My sister in the 100 Black Women. Thank you so much. And a board member of the AAECF Inc. Thank you, dear. Thank you for your encouragement and guidance, no matter how big and small. Harry Wallace, which is the chief of Puspatuck Indian Nation and tribal board members. Ronnie Bell Jr., who is my cousin and Puspatuck Indian Nation and tribal trustee. Annabelle from the Puspatuck and Shinnecock. Brian Polite, who's the chairman of the Shinnecock Indian Nation and the tribal trustees. Robert D. Cooper, who is the former chief of the Montaukett. Alina Rivera Williams, our mistress of ceremony today. Thank you so much, Alina. She's from the Shinnecock Indian Nation. Mr. Johnny Smith, from the Young Blood Singers, Shinnecock Indian Nation. Wayne Duncan, who is also Cherokee and Shinnecock Indian Nation. Shane Week, Shinnecock historian. Josephine Smith, she's an elder and my spiritual sister of the Shinnecock Indian Nation. John Boyd, who's an educator, Shinnecock Indian Nation. Ganu Benton, who's an educator and Native American filmmaker. House of Praise Christian Revival Center. Thank you for your encouragement. The Living Waters Full Gospel Church for the use of their parking lot, Pastor. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We love you. You're Belltown resident anywho. I want to thank Jeremy Dennis. A special recognition goes to him for his wonderful research and knowledge and preserving sacred Native American land here on Long Island. Betty Seelig Holden, I would like to acknowledge. Michael P. Sheed, Long Island Regional Director and Office of U.S. Senator Christian Gillibrand. Jacqueline Ralph, New York Governor Hochul's office. Congressman Lee Zeldin, Senator Anthony Palumbo, Assemblywoman Jody Giglio, Legislator Al Krusty, Legislator Bridget Fleming, Steve Ballone, Suffolk County Executive, Leslie Anderson, Suffolk County Deputy District Attorney, Reverend Roderick Pearson, Suffolk County Minority Affairs, Dr. Phyllis C. Bell. Raise your hand, Dr. Bell. That's my cousin. That's a Kirkchild Indian right there. Aunt Sarah Beasley. Raise your hand, Aunt Auntie. That's my mother's sister. Mariona Cooper Williams. Raise your hand. My sister Marisa, Reverend Marisa Johnson. My sister Honorable Marietta Cooper Bell. Booker. My husband, Reverend Justin A. Winter, who's the chaplain of the Riverhead Fire District. John V.H. Halsey, President of Peconic Land Trust. Yvette Salcido, Peconic Land Trust Vice President. Marcia Bystrom, Peconic Land Trust Board Member. Olivia Waterhouse, Peconic Land Trust Staff Member. Reverend Robert Salcido from the New Jerusalem Church. Denise Evans Shepherd, who is the Executive Director of Oyster Bay Historical Society. James Butch Langhorn, he's the former assistant to the Suffolk County Sheriff. Lawrence Street, who's the president of the Eastern Long Island chapter of the NAACP. Dr. James Banks, chair of the Suffolk County Executive's African American Advisory Board. Phil Andrews, who is the president of the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. Madeline Quintine McCarty, who is the president of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Suffolk County. Honorable Valerie Cartwright, who is the New York State Supreme Court judge, and my children and my grandchildren. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I just forgot to mention that this morning when I woke up, it was raining. And me and the Lord had a meeting this morning. And I reminded him that I had told him a couple of days before that we needed sunshine. But he let me know, don't worry, I got you. So thank you, Lord, for the sun. Hallelujah. He said, Asa, you answer my name, I'll do it. And he did it. All right. But also, I just want you to know a favorite scripture of mine. It says, love ye one another as you love yourself. I love myself, and I love each one of you. So I'm going to ask you if you would stand with me. Thank you. Father, we thank you. We praise and bless your holy name. You said that you would give us whatever we ask if we ask in your name. We thank you for the sunshine, but we thank you mostly for all the people that have shown love, oh God. You said, whatever you do to the least of my little ones, you've done it unto me. So we ask, oh God, that you will grant each one safe travel home, that you would give them a special miracle this week, oh God, that they will know that you have loved them, you have blessed them, and you're with them. And Lord, dismiss us from this place, but never from your presence. And we give you all the praise, the glory, and the honor. In the matchless name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, clergy, and distinguished guests who are coming out and honoring the Riverhead Belltown Heritage Area. For the four bells, north, south, east, and west, they ring all the way through. God bless. And there are refreshments on the table. To my left, help yourself. Thank you for coming.
Evil is the mind that says they don't care. Selfish is the mind who says that you can't share. The senior bus is available for the first 16 people. If anybody needs a special ride, see Jordan. He'll drive you to the town car back to the parking lot.
And just one more note, if everybody would check their feet for ticks. Please check your feet for ticks.
As we live in our blessed land, we all must be to keep our love alive. Love and find the soul and feel love. Show us we don't for you.
and after me, you must be to keep our love alive. Let's keep the love alive. Oh, that's wrong. If I live, and you bless me, and after me, I don't believe if I just keep my love alive.
Let's hear it for Elder Theodore Turpin Jr. If anybody would like to see the proceeds, we did video this event. It's on the Parks and Recreation, the Riverhead Town Parks and Recreation website. You can view the whole event in its entirety. Thank you, Rebecca Korn, for filming. The bus will be back to pick up anybody else that needs it.